You all for today's webinar. Friends, as we have discussed in the past or in the previous webinar, that typically we are looking at moving targets now, and that's why it has become more and more important for all of us to actually start taking action for the future. It is said, friend, that typically being challenged in life is inevitable, that you are going to get challenged. But whether you would like to get defeated or not, that's the option all of us are having. Charles Darwin way back had mentioned that it is not the strongest of the species that survive, but rather the most intelligent, and not even the most intelligent, but rather the ones who are more responsive to change. And that's where all of us as organization, we need to be more responsive to the change. But when all of us need to be more responsive to the change, there have been some studies which have been done on how organizations are coping up or how they are, what they are doing about the digital strategy. As per MIT slogan and Capgemini, while most of the CEOs, MDs, owners, they believe more than 90% that the digital economy is going to impact their industry, it is only around 10 to 15% of them who are actually working on the digital strategy. Friend, when we look at this kind of word, that is digital strategy and all, it's a bit difficult to understand. But as we are going to discuss today, it is not that difficult, because digital strategy is, rather we will say that it's a vague term. It gets thrown a lot in various conferences and all. So we should not worry about that term, but rather what we need to do about future, that is what we should be more worried about. Friends, the entire discussion today would be revolving around how we should steer our company from the present to the future, correct? And when we are going to do that discussion, we are going to discuss about how various industries are coping up with the future. At the end of the session, you will realize that it is not about the technology, it is not about the AI and IoT, but rather it is about the mindset of the business owner, MDs and CEO, which is going to take the company from the present to future, correct? And again, it's less about what, means we need not worry about what's going to come, but rather it's more about how we would like to shape our organization's future. That is, how and what steps we are going to take as a CEO, business owner, and as an organization. Friends, when we are going to discuss today about the future, we need to be very careful about how we look at the future, correct? I think most of us always have very high expectation from the future, correct? We always have a hope from the future, and that's where we always say that typically that future would be kind to us. But friends, this time, I think in our view, future won't be kind to us, because typically as a mankind, correct, we are known to be mankind, correct? This time the future is not going to be shaped by the man, correct? It is more said that it is not be a mankind future, but rather it is data kind future. That is, the data is going to shape your future and not the man. At least man was kind enough, but the data, artificial intelligence, machines, they won't be kind enough, correct? Another important thing, friends, about the future is that most of the time, all of us as a seniors, as a CEO, business owner, we are more worried about the fact that whenever we stumble upon a problem, we get a bit worried, we get a bit anxious. But this is the time, friend, that we need to be more anxious if we are not experiencing any problem. Because the time we are not experiencing any problem, that means there is something which we are missing, correct? And as an organization senior, we need to identify that X variable. And today we are going to discuss about that also, okay, how we need to focus on that, correct? So it's not about taking actions after the problem has been identified, but rather it is about what actions you are taking so that the problems don't surface. Friends, all of you will agree that typically whenever the company is in good times, the times are going to change. There might be bad times which are around the corner, but at the same time, whenever the company is in bad times, and it is said that the good times might be around the corner also. But if we want to make that shift from bad time to good time, correct, rather from good time to best time also, correct, because you may not be facing any challenges whatsoever right now. So if we want to make that shift, what we have to do, we have to just start a bit early. Friends, all of you will agree that in 1990s, when the internet was taking shape, none of us actually knew how internet is going to take shape, how it is going to change our lives, correct? But the companies who actually worked on that particular internet wave way back earlier, correct? Like say Jeff Bezos or Amazon, they started way back in 1994. Google started in 1999. So the time the company of your company starts a bit early, practically you will have that advantage of starting early, correct? And that's why it is always better that when you are looking at future, we need to start early rather than after few years. Friends, the first question which will ask us is basically what's the future, what future we are talking about. For that, to understand what is the future, first we need to understand how far we would like to see, correct? Because if you close your eyes, correct, you'll be able to sense something, correct, might be which is just a foot away, correct, you might be able to smell it. If you open your eyes, you'll be able to see a bit far, like say in terms of few meters or even a few 100 meters or 500 meters, correct? If you are using a binocular, you might be able to see few kilometers away, and if you are using a telescope, you might be able to see much further. And that's where when we are talking about future, we need to ask ourselves a question: how far we are looking at, correct? Are we looking at a future which is just 1 year away? Are we looking at a future which is 3 years away, 5 years away, 10 years away, 20, 50, 100, correct? What is the strategy we are talking about when we are talking about future strategy? How many years we are talking about, correct? And that's where most of the seniors, most of the CEOs, correct, whenever they debate, discuss their future strategy, I think in the boardroom there is always this a bit confusion about what future we are looking at. Because is it an instant future or it's a bit distant future, correct? Again, there might be different versions of future, because you might have seen that typically as an individual, I might see future in a different perspective. But when as a CEO, you are talking to your board of directors, founders, co-founders, you would have realized that your version of future and their version of future may not match. And almost whenever we have also discussed with some of the CFOs and then we have discussed with CEOs, we have seen that typically both of their versions of future are a bit different, correct? Someone might be a bit skeptical, someone might be very much optimistic about the future. And that's where, friend, if you yourself as an organization, if you would like to design a strategy for your organization, for the future of your organization, first as a board, as an entire organization at a senior level, we need to come to a conclusion as to one, how many years we are looking at and what is the future we are looking at, correct? Are we looking at a distant future, and if yes, how many years? And second, what is the differences? Because someone might see the difference, the future in a different way, whereas the other person might see it in a completely 360-degree different way. And that's where we need to come together, discuss about it, and understand about the future. Friend, there is also a third angle about future, and I think this future is typically many a time is getting influenced by the catalyst also. Now, who is a catalyst? Catalyst is typically a person in your industry who is able to actually make a dent in the universe, as it is said about Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, correct? So if there is someone in your industry who is actually able to make a dent in the universe, if somebody is actually leading that industry, those catalysts are also capable of actually changing the course of the future. And that's where all of us should not be only looking at the future from our own eyes, correct, from the eyes of the organization, but we should also look at the future from the catalyst eyes, correct? And finally, the real future, which is actually the actual future which is going to come up. Now, if all of us would like to be part of that future, we need to continuously discuss about that future and how you can do it. There are many case studies and there are many data which is available in the public domain, and it is said that most of the company who are working on the future, literally they discuss about the future on a weekly basis, correct? Almost all the consulting organizations who are providing advisory to the various organizations to gear up for their future strategy, they also literally discuss about the future on a weekly basis. So in case your organization is either already disrupted by the future technologies or is going to get disrupted by the future technology, you also need to make up time. You need to also identify time either weekly, bi-weekly or monthly basis, and you need to start discussing about the future at the earliest. Friends, typically we see future as a general build-up. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. That is typically you can see it is an arithmetical progression. That is how we look at the future, correct? But friend, this time the future is not going to come towards us in an arithmetic manner, correct? It won't be arithmetical progression, but rather it is expected that the future would come towards us in a very fast way, correct? And it is likely to take shape of a geometric progression. What is geometric progression? If I ask all of you as to how you will take, how many steps you will take from 1 to 100 in a normal course, correct? If you take arithmetical progression from going from 1 to 100, you will take 100 steps, correct? But in case of geometric progression, that is from 1 you go to double digit, that is 2, from 2 you go to double growth, that is 4, then 8, 16, 32, 64, and then it would be 128. That means if you actually take GP growth, within just 8 steps, correct? Within just 8 steps, you are able to cross the number of 100. And that's what future is going to be. The future this time is much faster than all of us actually think that the way it is going to be. And this future is actually, some of the industries have got disrupted also by this kind of a future, which is much faster. If you actually look at the way the industry has actually got affected, accommodation industry, the Hilton hotels were able to actually provide 7 lakh rooms, correct? They were able to provide 7 lakh rooms over a period of 100 years. So they took 100 years to provide 7 lakh rooms. Whereas if you actually compare Hilton with other entity, that is Airbnb, you will realize Airbnb would have just taken 8 years to provide same number of rooms, correct? Rather, if you actually do a detailed study, you will realize that Airbnb has not even taken 8 years. Within just a matter of 6 years, they were able to provide more than 7 lakh rooms. And right now they are providing more than 1 million rooms as Airbnb. And that's where, friends, because the future is much faster, correct? It's said that it's actually moving at an exponential pace, correct? That it is just doubling every year. That's where many of the companies, many of the industries are actually finding it bit difficult. Existing industry are finding it bit difficult to face this kind of future. Similarly, not only the accommodation industry has got disrupted by a portal like by an entity like Airbnb, but there are many such examples across the world. I think all of you know what money market funds are typically, wherein you invest, wherein the companies invest their residue funds. Correct. JP Morgan has had one of the largest money market fund, more than 150 billion. Alibaba, which created Ant Financials, they were able to cross more than 150 billion within just a matter of few years. So it took JP Morgan 15 years to cross 150 billion funds, but a company like just a new entrant, Ant Financials, which is again a Alibaba entity, just took a couple of years, not more than 4 years they took to have this kind of a more than 150 billion money market fund. And that's where, friends, these entities are actually not only shaping the future, but they are also dramatically changing the future, correct? And that's where all of us as an organization, we need to start living in the future. We need to start understanding the future. And friends, you will say, okay, we will do that, but let us do it maybe after a week or maybe after a couple of months or years. But friends, this is one of the most important or interesting statement, I would say, by John Legend. He says that future started yesterday and we are already late. That's why we should not start tomorrow, but rather we should start today itself. Friends, in certain industries, you'll be surprised to know that the future is already here. It is not a distinct future. The way we have seen that typically hotel accommodation industry, it has already got disrupted, correct? But the only thing is that for few certain industry, while the future is unevenly distributed, that is, it has actually reached their industry. For other industries, it is yet to reach, correct? So you will have to identify in which scale, in this scale of 1 to 10, where you belong, correct? Whether your industry is already got disrupted or it is yet to be disrupted. For example, take example of health industry. Health industry, we would say that it is yet to be disrupted completely, correct? Because at the end of the day, humans would like to connect with a human doctor, correct? Now, humans won't be immediately, the human doctors won't be replaced immediately by AI, artificial intelligence, correct? It might happen, but might be after a couple of more decades, but not immediately. So health industry is not yet disrupted, correct? But there are other industries. For example, the way we have discussed hotel accommodation, similarly entertainment, correct? Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube, they have actually disrupted the industry. So you can say from 1 to 10 scale, entertainment industry is disrupted and they are in the range of 7 to 8. Whereas healthcare is somewhere in the scale of 1 to 10, on the scale of 2 to 3, somewhere, correct? But please note that healthcare is also expected to get disrupted. It is not going to happen that the doctors are going to get replaced. But the way the healthcare industry provides right now solution, that might undergo a dramatic change, correct? Right now, people approach a doctor directly, or they approach a clinic, or they approach a hospital. It is likely that instead of they approaching directly, the approach might move in an indirect fashion. For example, I might be wearing a health band, correct? Today, if the health band is completely regularly tracking my physical activity, it knows my heartbeats and everything, then practically the health band company can also say that you will get, Pritam, you will get an appointment with your doctor within 1 day, correct? Or the same day appointment you will get if you subscribe to our XYZ plan. And if as a health freak, if I do subscribe to that plan, then practically this health wearable devices company would drive these patient to a hospital, not for each and every visit, but at least for some of them, correct? And that's where the disruption might be there, but in a different way, correct? The healthcare industry will still do the operation, correct? They will still provide the critical illness support, but at the same time, the consumers may not directly approach them, but indirectly through someone else. And that's where we need to be a bit careful that when we are talking about future, it is not that our business model is going to undergo change. It might happen that we might continue to provide the same set of services or goods. It is only that the medium, the mechanism might undergo change, and we need to be a bit careful about the mechanisms also. Because tomorrow, if we want to be part of the future, then we also need to partner with those future technologies. Friends, now if you would like to do the transition, and we are going to discuss about the various case studies now, correct? If you'd like to do a transition, this Trina Paulus statement, I think, is a very profound statement, wherein it is said that how does one become a butterfly? That is, I would say, how you would become a digital company, correct? To put it simply, practically it will mean that you must want to fly so much that you are willing to give up being a caterpillar. That means whatever company you are right now, if you are willing to become a future company, if you are willing to become a digital company, then practically you will do the transition. Whereas this kind of a transitions appear to be very easy, and this slide also we had discussed in much more detail last time, that typically we would like to do a transition this manner, that is from physical company to a digital company. But actually it is not going to be that easy, correct? We'll have to go through a pain of moving from a physical company to a digital company. Friends, now you will say, okay, we would like to become a digital company. What should we do, correct? And for that, friends, we will have to learn from the companies who have actually done that transition. There are many companies who have actually done the transition from being a physical company or industrial company to a digital company. Now let us understand which are these companies. You would have heard about companies like the Berkshire Hathaway, correct? The textile, which was actually a textile company, and today they are not a textile company. You would have heard about General Electric, correct? Which was actually about industrial company which was manufacturing the washing machines and electronics. But right now they are able to generate more revenue, not from products, but they are generating more revenue from services. You would have also heard about 3M company, correct? Which is Minnesota mining and manufacturing company, correct? Now that company which was into mining, they are not at all rather into mining, but they are into different businesses now. You would have also heard about Toyota, correct? It is an automobile company, and as you know, that automobile sector is one of the most disrupted sector because it is getting disrupted by different things. So not only it is getting disrupted by the Ubers or Olas of the world, correct? It is also getting disrupted by the various things which are happening in their industry. For example, the cars, correct, which are typically combustion engine cars. Now we are talking about electric vehicles, correct? So we are moving from a combustion engine based car to an electric vehicle car, correct? Second, at the same time, we are also, whereas these automobile companies are more they typically talk about the fact that typically it is an industrial company. At the same time, we need to understand that these companies are now becoming a software company. And why about these foreign companies only? Even look at the way Reliance is transforming itself. Reliance was typically a manufacturing company. Now take example of Jio, correct? Jio is literally working only on services sector, correct? It is still run indirectly, directly by Mr. Mukesh Ambani, but they are also making that transition. So not only the largest of the companies are making a transition from being an industrial company to a digital company, correct? Not only outside India, but also in India. And look at the age of these companies, friend. If you look at BHG, they are more than 100-year-old company, correct? The Berkshire Hathaway is more than 170-year-old company. GE is more than 130-year-old company. 3M, 120-year-old company. Toyota, more than 80 years is their age. So these companies have actually seen all the industrial revolutions, the industry 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and right now they are looking at 4.0. And they've actually done a successful transition from each of these revolutions, correct? And how they did it? Practically by ensuring that not only their current business survives, but also they have ensured that they are having something or other, that is a revenue stream from future also. So it is not important for all of you to only work on the present, but you will also have to work parallelly on the future also, correct? Practically for a CEO or business owner, it will mean that you need to run two parallel businesses, correct? Obviously, when you are going to run two parallel businesses, you will have to face various challenges. One, there would be a conflict between your own self, because you will have to determine how much time you would like to spend for the future revenue generating business, as well as how much time you would like to devote for the present business. Most of the time the present business is going to ask you for more time, effort and energy, but at the same time you know that because you'll have to have a revenue source from future also, you'll have to work on the future business also. Practically you yourself would be in a conflicting position, that is how much time you need to devote. Second, even the team is going to get divided, because one team is going to work on the existing business and another team is going to work on the future businesses. Now is expected to be even conflict between the teams also, because some of the team members, it is likely that they might say that why you are devoting that much energy on the future, correct, why you are not working on the present. And that's where you need to understand and address those challenges also. Friends, even the established businesses have actually done, which have done this transition, have actually gone through these pains, and you would not be exception, correct? You will have to do this transition, which is expected to be painful, but you will have to do it. Now let us understand how various industries have done this transition from being a physical company, how they have become a digital company. Friends, when you are going to discuss these transitions, please note that in many cases you'll be surprised to know, that the companies have not changed their actual product or services. They have only changed the mechanism in which they are delivering those product or services, correct? And all these industries which we are going to discuss right now by way of example, please note that these industries may or may not be directly relevant for you, but just as a case study, you try to understand those industries, correct, one. And second, try to share your version of solution, correct. This is just a trial and error process. You can say we are just trying to throw some scenarios to you, and we would like you to participate and share some of your views on these case studies, how you would like to provide some of the answers for these industries, correct. So let's start with the first case study of insurance, then we are going to take retail case study, we are going to take real estate case study, we are going to take some banking case studies, correct. So let's start with the insurance company. Now, as all of you are aware, that typically insurance companies, correct, typically in India, they used to supply the insurance product through agent or brokers, correct. Now, as you know that as the consumers were moving digital, consumers were preferring to do all the activities, including the insurance, taking insurance digitally, correct, through online challenge. Most of the insurance companies in India were facing a problem as to what should they do. Should they have their own online channel through which a consumer can directly go and opt or get an insurance policy, or should they continue with their agent or broker based business, correct? Because please note that if a company like, say for example, LIC start offering, if they are able to, or if they are starting to offer the insurance policy digitally, then the existing brokers, correct, the existing distributors will say that the company is moving against them, or they are taking steps against the existing brokers, because they will not be happy. And then these brokers might offer insurance policies of some other companies, correct? That is likely. And that's where all these insurance company, what they have done, almost most of them, what they did in this kind of a challenge, because they had to do a transition from supplying the insurance physically, correct, from supplying insurance policy physically through an agent or broker, they had to decide, should they move to a digital channel, correct, or should they continue with the agent or broker based channel. And what these insurance companies have done practically, almost all the insurance companies have actually continued both the channels, correct. So as a strategy, they have decided that the simpler policies would be offered online, and the more complicated policies, correct, they would be offered through the brokers. And the consumer will have a choice. If somebody wants to apply for a policy online, he can apply, but at the end of the day, the time he will have certain questions, correct. These online digital channels, will then allot that particular consumer or customer to the existing broker. And then what will happen? This existing broker would be in a position to do a cross sell. They would be in a position to acquire that customer. They would be in a position to convert that customer. And that's where the insurance companies have actually continued both, and which is actually better for both of them. Not only it is better for the insurance company, but it is also better for the dealers or distributors. And please note, for the dealers or distributors also, it is actually win-win position. Why it is a win-win position? Because the dealers and distributors, they also have to put substantial effort to actually acquire a customer. But if through a digital channel, if the customers are getting actually acquired by the insurance company and then they are getting allotted, the time, effort and energy which a dealer has to put to convince a customer, that goes down dramatically. And then the dealer has to just provide some information to the customer and convince him to buy the policy, which is much easier rather than acquiring a new customer. Now, friends, apart from this insurance policy related business case study, we are also going to share with you another case study, that is with respect to bankers. I think all of you are aware that it is becoming more and more difficult for a new bank or even for an existing bank to actually get customers. And take for example, in India, you have two major banks. One is SBI, correct, and another is ICICI Bank. One is from public sector and another is from private sector. Now, if a third bank want to enter into that category, you know the kind of competition they are going to face, correct? Now, this kind of a similar challenge, one of the banking sector company, QNB Finance Bank, they were facing in Turkey. So they were finding it more difficult to actually to acquire new customers, correct, from the existing channel. So they were actually facing problem from the existing banks. So what they did, they adopted a simple strategy. They created a completely online bank, and the thought process of this completely an online bank, and they created a brand also, separate brand, Enpara brand. And the thought process was that it was actually a branchless bank, correct? It was actually a branchless bank. So they changed the model of the banking 360-degree. So rather than focusing on physical bank locations, correct, opening up branches, they said that ours would be 100% digital bank. They would provide the similar convenience to the participant the way a physical bank provides, but the change in the methodology is that it would be a branchless. It would be a branchless bank. And please note, friends, that right now this Enpara bank case study, if you actually look at it, they were actually profitable within just 3 years of setup, correct? And their customer satisfaction is more than 99.4%. That is much more than the existing bankers. Friend, there is another case study also which we are going to present to you now, that is from news and media sector. As all of you are aware that typically we are very much addicted to the physical newspaper, correct? As you know that typically when you open the newspaper, you would have seen that substantial pages are actually devoted to advertisement. Sometime, like say on 15th of August, on the occasion of Diwali, you would have seen that typically half of the news pages belong to the advertisement, correct? Because that is the source of revenue for the newspaper companies, correct? The media establishment who are into newspapers. More than 70% of their revenue typically comes from the advertisement. But as all of you are aware that now more and more consumers are actually preferring to read news online, correct? So it is more and less we are actually getting habitual, means we are trying to do away with practically with the reading of newspaper habit. Although even as a person professional, I am more than addicted to the newspaper even now, correct? When right now because of COVID I am unable to get the papers, obviously I miss those days, and once this challenge goes away again I will be back to reading the newspaper. But still these newspaper companies, news agencies, correct, they are finding it more and more difficult now to survive. Now there are few case studies wherein the newspaper agency, the news media agency, they have done this transition from being a physical newspaper company to a digital news agencies, correct? And which are these examples? If you actually do a detailed study, you will realize there are numerous such media houses who have done a successful transition from being a physical newspaper company to a digital media house. New York Times has actually more than 4 million consumers in more than 190 countries, correct? Right now, and please note, New York Times was a physical newspaper company, the way you had Times of India and all other newspapers in India, correct? So they have also done this transition. Right now, more than 70% of their revenue actually comes from subscription. correct? And look at the size of revenue we are talking about. Their annual revenue from subscription is more than 800 million, correct? So understand the kind of revenue we are talking about through digital channels, correct? Now, similar transition others are also doing, be it Wall Street Journal, Times, correct? Many of the players, many of the news media agency players are also moving now digitally. Now, when they are trying to move digitally, we need to understand one fundamental point. Friends, please note that these newspaper media agencies, they are not closing down their operations because the digital era has come. What they are doing, they are just changing the medium. Earlier, they were providing the news to us through a physical mechanism. Now they are providing news through a digital mechanism, correct? So what is changing? Whether the substance of the newspaper agencies, newspaper industry is changing, the substance is not changing. What is actually changing? The mechanism, the mode of delivery, correct? So if you are able to adapt to the mode of delivery, naturally you will be able to survive. Because at the end of the day, what news agencies do, they don't sell you the newspaper, they actually provide you qualitative journalism. Now, if the qualitative journalism they are able to provide digitally, correct? And then, as all of you know, that right now, most of us are willing to pay, correct? If that matches, practically you will have a revenue in this range rather than running on a very media tight budget, because most of the newspaper industries right now also having some challenges. But if you move to a digital era, correct, wherein people are able to subscribe to you, the revenues might increase dramatically, correct? Another transition we would like to share with you is a case study from basically a TV channel company. And the TV channel company was actually a news weather channel company. So they used to provide information about weathers, correct? So as all of you are aware that typically nowadays people refer to the TV channel less, and they would like to read information about weather on their mobile. So because of that, what started happening, this TV channel agency was unable to generate revenue from streaming of ads, correct? And because of that, they were unable to survive. Now what this company did, they did a 360-degree different thing. Rather than moving from being a TV channel company, correct, to a streaming channel company, what they did, they created an algorithm. And how they created algorithm, they got data of last 5 years, correct? Because they were a weather channel company, they got data of all the weather patterns for last 5 years, and they also got hold of data as to how many products and which product were sold in those times, correct? So after that, what they did, they created a predictive algorithm. That is, if the weather is of this pattern, then these goods are likely to be sold more, correct? So practically, to give us very simple example, if it is likely to rain, it is more likely that people are going to consume more tea and maybe bhajia, correct? So it's like that, as simple as that. So what this company did, they created a predictive algorithm, and the basic thing was, they said that we will go beyond the obvious. Because obviously this example of tea and bhajia is a very simple example, which is obvious example. But they said that we'll go beyond obvious, correct? Beyond the obvious patterns. And that information they will provide to various FMCG companies. And if they are able to provide that information to the FMCG companies, certainly this data would be of huge importance to the FMCG companies, because then FMCG companies can actually provide various discounts as well as provide various advertisement in that particular time period, correct, based on the weather data. As per the weather channel company and as per the various articles also, if you read, weather actually affects each and every decision of ours. And that's where this weather channel company, from being a TV channel company, they have got converted, moved from a TV channel company to a digital company, or rather a data company. This is a major transition, friend. Please note that this is a 360-degree transition which they have done. Now, for each and every company, this kind of a transition is not necessary, because you would have seen that we talked about the insurance company. The insurance company, earlier also they were selling insurance, now also they are selling insurance, correct? Their insurance is not undergone change. What has undergone change? Only the mechanism, the medium through which people are buying and selling the insurance. But in this case, they have done, in the TV channel company, they have done a 360-degree change. So this is a different case study as compared to the earlier insurance and banking case study. Friend, there are also other case studies. For example, two-wheeler market. As all of you are aware that if somebody wants to buy a two-wheeler, he will visit various showrooms, correct? And nowadays people do a detailed study online before they want to go and buy a particular motorbike or a car. So they are rather going to the showroom with a predetermined mindset that I would like to buy this car or I would like to buy this motorcycle. But the problem today is that when somebody is going to a showroom, when somebody is going to a dealer, and even if he is having a cash to buy the vehicle, it was seen, it is experienced that typically it takes more than couple of hours for a person to actually get a bike, correct? Because obviously there are various formalities which a person has to do. Now to address this particular setup challenge, what some of the companies are doing, and particularly Hero Group, what they are doing, they have actually prepared a portal, that is the hgpmart.com, wherein you can now, right now, you can book a bike, correct? While you will get delivery of the bike through the dealers only, but you can book a bike and you can also provide some information about you, so that when you go there, the basic data, the basic forms, everything is actually filled up, correct? So it won't take for you more than a couple of minutes to get your bike delivered to you, correct? Obviously the RTO formalities and all that might take time, but the process of booking a bike, correct, they are trying to remove those practical challenges for you. The second important point is that when somebody is buying a bike through an online portal, it means that the company is actually accepting the fact that the millennial generation, they don't want to go and visit a dealer. Because nowadays all of you know that there are many a times you would have seen that your son, your daughter, she would like to buy something because her friend or her colleague is having actually that bike, correct? She would have actually done a test drive also. So they are very much clear, correct? So what the company is doing now, they are just providing a mechanism for this young millennial generation, so that tomorrow Amazon should not say that you can buy a bike on our portal, because right now you cannot buy a bike on Amazon or you cannot buy a car on Amazon yet. It is possible that in days to come that might also be available, but before that only a company like Hero Group is actually enabling the consumer to buy a bike online also, which is a major change. Second important thing is, on this HGP Mart you can also buy accessories, because you would have typically seen that a person who is buying a bike, correct, he would buy a bike, but after that he will do a servicing. After the free servicing is over, they will do a servicing at a local mechanic. Now what happens, the local mechanic will typically replace the part, correct, the part wherein he is getting more commission, and the authenticity of the parts is also not certain, you are not certain about it. And that's where now through HGP Mart you can actually order the accessories or spare part also online. And then what happens, that at least as a bike owner you are more than certain about the quality, correct, and you can hand over those parts to your local mechanic. And through this, the company, that is HGP Mart, is ensuring that they are able to supply original parts to the consumer and they are able to make money out of that. Otherwise, once you sell the bike to the consumer, your revenue generation activity stops. And that's where a company like Hero Group is intending to get into that after sales market also through a portal like HGP Mart. Another important point is, friend, a company like Hero, they are also doing some more things also. For example, after they sell a bike, practically the revenue which that company is generating is only from sale of bike and after that accessories. Now this product company, that is a Hero company which is selling you a bike, they are trying to get converted into a service company. And how they are doing it? They are saying that practically when you are buying a bike, they will also give you a subscription, correct? It is likely that to offer more, to get more and more customers on board, they might give a subscription free of cost for 3 or 6 months, or they might give subscription at a very lower price initially, correct? And what this subscription, once you get a bike, so for example you are buying a bike of say 1 or 2 lakh, because right now there are many premium bikes in the market. If you buy those bikes, they sell you a subscription also, and in the subscription they tell you that if somebody is towing away your vehicle, you will get an alert. If you meet with accident, immediately through IoT or sensors, they will be sending the information to various people, your near and dear ones, correct? So this subscription, won't you buy, correct? Won't this kind of a subscription will actually save your life? And that's where, friend, these companies are right now trying to convert, they are trying to offer a new offering, correct? They are trying to they are trying to move from being a physical company, they are trying to become a digital company. Rather from being a product company, they are trying to become a service company also, correct? So this is a local example, I would say, of Hero company. Another Indian example we would like to share with you is from luggage industry. As all of you are aware, as far as luggage industry is concerned, VIP is one of the largest companies, correct, in this industry. Now, VIP company, as all of you are aware, they have more than 8,000 outlets, correct? Now, typically what was happening that the online portals were actually giving them a big threat. It was creating a challenge for the Hero VIP group to offer their product to the retail consumers, because more and more people were actually buying online. So it was fight between walk-in customer versus check-in customers, correct? It was fight between bricks and clicks. So VIP industry had to make a choice. What should they do? Should they move to completely digital platform, or should they continue both? Now, friends, here also what VIP industry has done, they continued both the channels, correct? Why they did that? Because they were aware that one, the set of customer who is actually walking to the dealer distributor, they are a bit different set of customer as compared to completely online or digital customer. So one can say that typically you can say that in many industry you'll find there are two sets of customer. Second important thing is there are many consumers right now who actually do a detailed study online of a particular product, and then afterward they go and physically check the product and buy it, correct? So whereas there are many consumers who physically go to a shop, do a detailed study and buy the product online equally, or rather there are many consumers who are actually doing a detailed study online and then they are buying physically in the particular showroom. And that's where a company like VIP is actually maintaining both the showrooms. And what policy they have decided? They have decided to have a wait and watch policy. In the years to come, if particular dealers are unable to meet a substantial, or they are unable to meet the targets, then shop by shop, correct, area by area, they might decide to close those shops, correct, they might decide to shift it completely online, but they are having a wait and watch policies. So please note, emergence of online portal doesn't mean that physical stores are going to completely go out of business, correct? Both of them are likely to survive, both of them, but please note, not all of them, correct? Not all the physical stores are going to survive because of digital aftermath. Many physical stores will survive provided the physical store is able to provide the same convenience the way a online portal, correct, provides. The time you introduce that ease, correct, in procuring some goods, correct, online, the way you have that ease, one click ordering and all, the way you can see you have a large variety. If you are able to have that kind of convenience experience to the consumers, the physical industry, that is the retail industry, will also equally survive, but you will have to be a bit innovative, and we are going to discuss about that but in the next few more slides, correct, how retailers are also doing innovation. Friend, there were also few other example. For example, cosmetic industry, there's a coil kind named company, correct, it's actually was having a physical store, correct, they were also having online threat, because more and more companies were actually, more and more consumers were actually buying various products online. So this cosmetic company, what they did, they also did the same strategy the way VIP has done. They are also maintaining both the things, correct, they are also having an online shop and they are also having a physical shop. But how they are doing it, they are saying that our physical stores would be as good as experience stores. So they are saying that physical channel is equally important to us, because we are converting that physical channel into a display channel. So it is like having an advertisement. The way you have billboards, they are saying in various malls, in various locations wherein the footfall is much higher, they will have these kind of a display stores, correct? Wherein the consumer can walk in, and if he wants to buy, he will buy. If he just want to experience those products, he will experience those products, correct? So through this kind of a strategy, that is physical plus digital, that is physical plus online, by maintaining both the locations, correct? You are also having an online store, you are also having a physical store. Many of the companies are able to sustain, correct, and also grow. And please note that only having an online portal is not enough. What these companies are doing, the time you buy a product now, they are actually sending a thank you note on a customer email ID. Second, there after a week or after 2 weeks, these companies who are actually into cosmetic, they will send you an email saying that the people who have bought similar product like you, they are getting these results now, correct? They will share with you some of the consumer or customer feedback. And after maybe 2 weeks, if you are expected, because if you have bought a particular 100 ml oil from that particular store, if it is as per the company expectation that oil is going to get finished maybe after 2 months time, then after 2 months you will get an email from that company as to whether you are on your last drop, correct? So that if you would like to buy, you can buy the product online from the portal, or you can buy physically. So please note that these physical companies right now who are actually into retails, they are trying to go digital. And how they are going digitally? They are trying to connect with the customer, maybe through email, maybe trying to understand who is their consumer by writing regular communications to them. So it is possible even for the retail industry to be digital. Another case study, friend, which would like to share is about a farm equipment manufacturing company. As all of you are aware, farm equipment is a business, a large business, and I think you would be knowing about this company also, John Deere, correct? Which has more than 180 years of legacy. It was a hardcore agricultural machinery, correct? It was an industrial company, hardcore industrial company. But last couple of years or last couple of decades, they have moved from being an industrial company to a digital company. And what they have done for doing that shift, correct? Have they changed their products? Have they moved on from being have they stopped manufacturing the farm equipment? Not at all. They have continued to manufacture the farm equipment, but what they are doing, they are actually leveraging on Internet of Things, correct? So they are leveraging on IoT, they are leveraging on the sensors, but at the same time, they are trying to provide solution to the consumer or farmers. See, at the end of the day, please understand that typically whenever somebody is buying a equipment from you, the purchase of equipment, correct, he is going to use it, correct? The hardware is not the end. Hardware is just a means to an end, correct? So the farmer who is buying the equipment from you, he needs to do certain activity. And what he needs to do, he needs to manage his farm well. And that's where John Deere, like a company, right now they are working not only on the physical equipment, but they are also working on the farm management activity, correct? So they are extending, so their core business remains the core business, but they are trying to get into core business also. That is the farm management, correct? By doing that, you are actually revolving your business around your consumer or customer. You are trying to solve the problem of your consumer. You are not only telling him that take this equipment and do whatever you want to do with it. They are trying to help the consumer, correct, solve the problem which the consumers are having. So they continue to supply the equipment, but at the same time, they are providing weather information to him. They're also providing seed optimization strategies to the farmers. They're also getting into AgTech, correct? They're trying to tell the farmer how to utilize the fertilizers in optimal possible way. So please understand that many companies who are doing this transition, they are not closing down their business at all, correct? Rather, they are just extending their business. And rather, please note that these businesses are much more profitable. You can make, or rather you can mint money in these areas, because these areas are yet to be explored by many people. Right now, there are very handful people who are into these activities. So if you are having as a company any area wherein, which is actually an area which is closer to your core, that is, can you get into a core activity, correct? Such as if you are a farm equipment manufacturer, can you get into farm management? And if you can do that, practically you will mint money or give your company also larger life, correct, extended life. Friends, there are also other case study as we discussed about retails also. So right now we discussed about the farm equipment manufacturer. Let us talk about retail. As all of you are aware that typically retail sector is facing a huge challenge because of Amazon, correct? Not only in India but across the world. Rather in US, there are many number of companies, like say from 2015 to 2020, approximately 100 companies have filed bankruptcy. 100 retail companies have filed bankruptcy. And please note, one retail company, correct, not doesn't mean 100 stores, correct? One retail company was actually Payless, was actually having more than 2000 showrooms, 2000 stores. So understand the apocalypse which this Amazon is creating for the retail industry. So in these kind of times, when in US, when almost most of the companies, most of the retailers are actually filing bankruptcy, surviving in these challenging times was one of the most difficult thing to do. And now in this challenging time, there is one retail company who was able to survive, and that company is Best Buy, correct? Best Buy was actually into retail. of consumer electronics, correct? They are actually having a legacy of more than 55 years and more than 125,000 employees they were having. Now, because many people were buying online, they were left with no option but to identify a strategy to survive in the future, correct? And what they did, how they survived, right now also they are surviving, rather they are growing. What they did, as a retail company, they realized that we are having a regular footfall of our customers, correct? The footfalls are not decreasing. Maybe the number of people who are buying product or electronics from our showrooms, they are decreasing. It is possible, but the footfalls are still increasing. So what they did, they said that we are having large stores, correct? We are having large showrooms. So in those stores, they ask various companies such as Samsung, etc., to open an experience center, correct? So it is like having store within the store. And they started charging to a company like Samsung. Now, please note, a company like Apple, they are already having physical stores. So it is very difficult to convince Apple, but it is much easier to convince Samsung. Similarly, the time Samsung, like a company, is opening up showrooms, correct, within a showroom of Best Buy, practically almost all other retailers, also all other, manufacturers of electronic, they also started to open up their experience centers within the Best Buy premises. And that's how Best Buy was able to generate or create a new revenue stream for them. And they were able to leverage on that particular revenue, and they were able to manage the rental cost as well as the employee cost because of that. And after that, if the consumer is walking into their stores, if along with Samsung, they are buying some other product also from the store, they were able to make money. So what the strategy this company adopted, that is a retail company, they opened up stores within the stores, correct? Rather than closing the stores, correct? As all of you are aware, apart from retail, even the large departmental stores are also facing many challenges, correct? Because typically as the departmental store, large departmental store, what you are doing, you are actually providing various products. Now the same products are easily available online and also at a huge discount. So how a departmental store would be able to survive in today's time? So in that context, there is a very interesting case study of Italy, correct? A brand name known as Italy. What they have done, they have converted their departmental stores into experience centers, correct? So they are saying that we are not here to supply you only departmental product, but you can come to our departmental store, you can eat, correct? You can shop, and you can also learn how to cook. So rather than being a regular departmental store, they're trying to convert or showcase themselves as an experience center. And because you are doing that, naturally the number of consumers who are coming there, correct? They are not coming only for buying things, but they are coming there for experience. And naturally, the people who are coming there for experience are ready or willing to pay much higher than what a typical normal consumer will pay to a normal department store. And that's why this company, by adopting a different strategy, they were able to survive. Similarly, there are many restaurants also who are right now facing challenges, but at the same time, there are numerous restaurants who are leveraging technologies and they are able to survive this threat of Zomato and Swiggy. Now, which are those stores? Let us understand. There are many companies. For example, when you look at a restaurant like Starbucks, as all of you know, typically Starbucks is not selling you coffee, they are selling you an experience, correct? Now what Starbucks have done, if you would like to book a coffee before you visit their premises also, you can do that through app. They are having their own Starbucks apps. So before you visit the Starbucks, correct, you are walking to a Starbucks, you can book a coffee, and the time you reach their premises, correct, the coffee would be ready, correct, it will be served to you. So two purposes are served. Through the app, a consumer can pay well in advance, and second, the consumers will not be required to wait there. So now with this kind of a convenience, it is more likely that more and more consumers are likely to walk into a store or restaurant like a Starbucks. So similarly, can you as a restaurant have these kind of a facilities, correct? The time you have these kind of facilities, it will not only increase the footfall, but also convenience for your consumers. Obviously, not only this app-based technology you can utilize, but there are many technologies which restaurants are utilizing. I think you would have seen that many companies are now trying to replace the cash counter with kiosk, wherein you can directly order. Many a time you would have seen that instead of the regular chart or menu card, you are having tablets now to order. In days to come, it is possible that instead of when a consumer goes to a restaurant, instead of saying that bhaiya do chai lana, you will say Alexa 2 tea please. Correct? It is also possible. So in days to come, the restaurant industry is also going to adopt and leverage on the technology. So please note that you will have to understand how you as an organization you can leverage on the technology. We also have another case study, and this case study is from entertainment industry. As all of you are aware, typically you would have visited some of the time a Disney park or a Imagica or some other park, correct? SL World, correct? And you would have seen that typically whenever you are going to a particular ride, you would have found out that there are many people who are there, correct? And there is a huge waiting list for that particular ride. Now, what happened that because there is a huge waiting list, correct? Because there is a huge waiting list, many people feel a bit dissatisfied. So this problem was being faced by Disney, correct? So what they did, how they utilized technology to address this challenge, they did a simple thing. They created magic bands. So they were wearable devices. So every person who is going to visit that particular Disney park, they were given that bands. Now, by giving a band at the same time, you are also told that how, and based on your personal preferences, a special itinerary was created. So you are told that you should visit 1, 2, 3, 4 these rides, and this way you should follow the path. Correct. Second important thing, because people are wearing that magic band, the company Disney was able to understand in front of which ride there are maximum number of people, and what they are doing right now, if there is a huge crowd which is there in front of a particular ride, they will typically send a parade in front of that ride, so people will get entertained, they will not get bored. And third, if you are walking towards a restaurant, correct, and if you are already given a choice of your food, the time you walk into the restaurant and the time you sit there, that time the food would be ready, correct? So it appears magically in front of you. So they are trying to create a magical experience through these variables. So as a company, you'll have to think that if you are into similar line of business, can you do that? Friends, not only this, there are many other companies. For example, IKEA, if you actually see it, IKEA is trying to give you a kind of experience, correct? A virtual reality experience for their products, correct? And we would like to share that experience with you through a video. So let's, uh, we will show you a video. Let's see if that works well. So how they are creating a immersive experience, because this kind of experience you can also try to create. I hope all of you are able to.
It's a feeling, and IKEA wants you to feel even better about it.
I hope you are able to see this video. Okay. I hope now you can see it. should have seen the way IKEA is leveraging on VR, correct, virtual reality. Now understand and see how other companies are trying to leverage the artificial, this augmented reality. This is another case study.
like the lymphatics, like the ductal system. And I still don't really know what a lymph node looks like in a cadaver. We can't see any of it.
You'd certainly waste a lot less time dissecting things.
And for medical students who don't have that much time, it's very important to be efficient about their learning.
Have a look at the left omentum.
We've done over a dozen trials that have shown positive student outcomes. Students are learning faster, and it looks like they may even be retaining knowledge better.
When I'm doing like my third year of clinical rotations, it's been really helpful for me just because I could visualize it how I did in the HoloLens, and it sticks in our brain.
We're taking this to the next level and adding animation and physiology. We're currently working with new partner schools so that more students can benefit. We also knew that every school teaches anatomy a little bit differently. So we've made tools that allow you to customize the holoanatomy content to fit your needs.
HoloLens is able to distill something complicated and visualize it the way it actually is in a human body and retain that information. I hope more people end up jumping on board.
Should have seen the way various companies are trying to leverage the various technologies, be it virtual reality or be it augmented reality, correct? Now, there are other case studies also. I think one of the biggest challenge which many of the industry players are worried about is about digitization of factories, correct? Now, what about digitization of factories? But before we get into that particular aspect, we'll have to understand what digitization is, correct? Digitization means practically the factory working as practically a robot, which is manufacturing whatever you want, correct? It's like a magic factory, I would say. And for that, if you want to understand how that factory looks like, let us take examples of Siemens smart factory, which is in Hamburg, correct? So let us go to that particular example. And I will take you through this video also, because this is a very important video to see.
As a global leader in industrial automation, Siemens has recognized the challenges for profitable growth in a competitive industry. Siemens is growing from being the global market leader in automation to industry leadership as a supplier of integrated hardware and software systems. To achieve this, Siemens is focused on optimizing the complete value chain, becoming faster from product design to high-quality production. In the Electronic Works Hamburg, about 1,000 employees produce Simatic switchgears and control systems at the highest level. One of the characteristic features of the best works in Europe, the distinction Hamburg was given, is the extraordinary high quality at a production rate of 1 product per second and a delivery time of 24 hours. In order to attain the best possible combination of both design and production, the Hamburg Works uses the product lifecycle management software portfolio. Teamcenter, NX, and Simatic IT facilitate a near-perfect closed-loop data consistency. The rules and processes laid down in the system ensure that the data are transferred correctly and automatically with the right technical information. Teamcenter serves as a data backbone for all PLM tools. One of the competitive advantages of the Electronic Works Hamburg is that development and production are closely and systematically interlinked, which means that innovations can enter production very quickly. The manufacturing processes are optimized rapidly by means of digital prototypes at an early stage. By simulating the processes, the production can be adapted perfectly to the products to be manufactured. Thus, the time to market can be reduced by up to 50%, with simultaneous increases in quality. Totally integrated automation and the TIA portal mean complete data consistency in automation and for coherent access to engineering, which enables the Electronic Works Onberg to optimize its automation solutions. This in turn leads to cost savings of up to 25%. Moreover, the manufacturing execution system Semantic IT ensures maximum production rate and highest flexibility. Due to intelligent data linkage, it is possible to take influence on the production processes in real time, so the Electronic Works Onberg can deliver its products at a quality rate of 99.9985%. This means only 1.5 of 100,000 manufactured products are faulty. By using Siemens Industry software, the time to market cycles in the Electronic Works Onberg were reduced significantly, while costs were cut.
So this factory, which is actually one of the Siemens factory, this looks like a factory of the future, and you'll be surprised to know that this factory video which we have just shared, this actually belongs to the year 2015. This is actually a working factory in Hamburg, and when we talk about the kind of product they manufacture, it is per second they are manufacturing one PLC, correct, which is programmable logic controllers, correct. They are manufacturing per second one product. And look at the ratio of the defect-free products. That means per million products, there are only 15 products which are having defect. And please note that this 15 number is also expected to reduce further, because the machines are actually learning about the defects. And it is likely that they will reduce the number of errors over a period of time, correct? But friends, that while this kind of a future, when we look at it, looks a bit worrisome, correct? That if these kind of factories, which we are actually, means we are talking about a 2015 video, it's been more than 5 years, correct? Then why we are not seeing all those factories being digitized, correct? There are obviously many reasons. One, this kind of a factory is not actually a good factory for manufacturing certain classic product, that is heavy machineries, correct? This is typically good for maybe a small electronic products or computer related products. Second important thing is that it requires a huge investment. Now it is not possible for each and every companies to do that kind of a heavy investment, because the returns on those investment would be far lesser. And that's where it is still likely that our regular factories will continue for at least for a few more decades. It is not likely that all the smart factories will eat into our business profits, correct? So friends, till now, we have seen various case studies, correct? Be it the insurance company, be it a banking company, be it a newspaper, be it retail, be it TV, manufacturing companies, correct, and various other cases, restaurant, retail, correct. What you would have seen that typically all these industries are facing some or other kind of a challenge, correct, and they are struggling to survive. But at the same time, they are taking various steps, correct. They are taking various steps to ensure that they remain relevant for the future. So they might struggle, but because they are taking regular steps, they are able to survive the challenge. And that's where, friends, as a company, all of us will have to ensure that how are we looking at the future, correct? We'll have to be very careful about it. Are we looking at a future as a difficulty, or we are looking at the uncertain future as an opportunity, correct? The more and more we see it as an opportunity, naturally we are going to grow. And the more and more you see it as a difficulty, obviously we are going to have a challenge. Many a time we might think that we are already late, but please read. There is one very interesting book by the same name, Thank You for Being Late, by Thomas Friedman. He said that none of us are late practically, correct? It's only that we might think that we are late, but we might be still early, correct? So we are not at all late. If you are yet to adopt a particular technology, don't feel that you are late. Second important aspect is, friend, that many a time this uncertain or unpredictable environment, you can actually turn into your business advantage, correct? Rather than being worried about that unpredictable future. Then, friends, it is said that nothing happens to you, but rather everything happens for you. So as a company, if you are facing some challenges, please note that those challenges are just an obstacle for you to overcome, correct? So let us take all the challenges as an obstacle rather than practically a challenge. Friends, whatever changes which we would have seen in the past couple of years, as per Mr. Bill Gates, that we are expected to see now more changes in the next 10 years as compared to the last 50 years. And that's where we'll have to gear up for more number of changes. When we are going to be ready for the next future, when we are going to be ready for the changes please note that we'll have to start small, but we'll have to start at the earliest, correct? Now you will say that if we start naturally, it is likely that we are going to make mistake, but it is said that a good judgment comes from an experience and experience comes from a bad judgment. So even if you are going to make mistake, it is but likely, it is but natural that you are going to learn from those experiences. Now, as a company, how you can meet the challenges, how you can address the challenges. One way to look at it is you can create a separate team which is working for the future. It is likely that you may not have enough manpower wherein you can depute a separate team. But can you do one thing? Can you identify 1 or 2 or 3 members from your own organization who can work as a separate team and only on the future product, correct? Can you do some digital experience, correct? Can you create a minimum viable product? And if you are able to do that successfully, then can you scale it up for the large number of audience, correct? So this is one of the way which is being followed by many companies who are trying to move from being a physical company to a digital company. They are identifying a separate team which is working on the future. Second, they are trying to do certain experience, certain digital experiments, correct? They might be introducing RPA, that is robotic process automation. They might be introducing some AI, correct? But they are not taking, I would say, moonshots. They are taking small steps, correct? They are doing those experiments. If you are able to do those experiments successfully, if those small experiments are successful, then you can think about creating a minimum viable project or product. And if you do that, then you can think about scaling it up. So that is a typical step plan every organization can have if they would like to be ready for the future. Now, friends, when you are trying to be ready for the future, these are the challenges you are likely to face. One, who is going to lead this transition, correct? Should it be a bottom to top approach or top to bottom approach? Naturally, the answer is that it has to be a top to bottom approach. That is, a CEO should ideally lead it. Many a times, whenever we have discussed with various companies and we talked about their digital readiness, they have said that typically a chief technology officer is doing something about the digital transition. But in our view, typically it should be the MD or CEO who should lead it, correct? Second important thing is, please note that it is a shared responsibility. It is not only CEO job, but also the entire organization job to be ready for the future. Friends, it is always a challenge as to how to measure your success about those new digital experiments, correct? If you create a new team for doing those digital experiments, it is always a challenge as to how many months, how many years you are going to give to that team, correct? Because if you want to sustain for future, you will have to give some goal to those team, but at the same time, you will also have to give some leeway to that team, because that team is not working on a quarterly results, correct? They are not working on something which is immediate in nature. They are working on a long-term strategy. They are working on a long-term goal. They are trying to ensure that your organization survives in the longer run. And that's where they need to be given some leeway, correct? And another important thing is that can this team, which is a separate team, can this team work on bettering the customer or consumer experience? If you are able to do that, certainly it would be possible for your company to shift from being a digital company to being from being a physical company. It is possible for your company to move to become a digital company. So with this, friend, we are through with our session along with various case studies on how various companies across the world are doing a shift from being a physical company to a digital company. Friend, last time also after the session, we got various calls and people were asking us which are the good books to read or refer to. We would like to share some of the books to you. Some of the case studies we have adopted from those books only. We would like to refer to you a very good book by Mr. Sunil Gupta. And the name of the book is Driving Digital Strategy, which is a publication by HBR. Then there are very good books by Dr. Ram Charan, who is again a very known professor. And he has a book named as The Attacker's Advantage. And then obviously there are numerous other books also. If you would like to read those books also, please write an email to us, or you can give a call and we will share, more than happy to share with you the various books which we have actually keep on reading and through which we are able to share these experiences with you. Now let us open the floor for Q&A. We have already received some of the Q&A, so we will like to